get into more detail about that, Mr. Epken, as soon as we do a little bit of today's news and take a break, and we're going to come back and find out in detail what your club is currently doing. You know, how did you decide to do that, what your club is currently doing, and if in fact others out here who are watching us, if our listeners can help in any kind of way, or if we can make sure we share who you are and what you do with others who fall into that organization. Okay, so we'll get into that after a little bit of news. Now, you know Michael Jordan, I'm sure, right? You've been around long time. Oh, yeah. So the Jordan brand and the Little Black Pearl students team up for a t-shirt design contest. So if anybody knows, Little Black Pearl is right there on 47th, I think it's Greenwood is the street that is cross street. But the Chicago youth face a constant battle to defy the odds on their path to greatness. At every turn, they often face new challenges, whether it's trying to elude a bogus reputation of being prone to violence or having to jump through loops and obstacles just to receive the most basic resources. The youth in the city are far too often counted out before ever even getting a chance to reach their full potential. And you might would agree with me, right? Yeah. Every child, no matter their background though, right? No matter if they come from across the water or born right here, deserves a platform to reach their dreams and fly, which is why since 2015, Jordan Brand, along with Little Black Pearl Art and Design Academy, have been giving youth back their wings. So congratulations on doing that, and good luck with continuing to do that. Now, the news professionals are talking about now, we talked about how Disney was attempting to merge and take over, in essence, from their Netflix counterparts. Disney gave more details about its upcoming streaming services, so they're getting into the streaming business while reporting lower than expected earnings on Thursday. Its Disney-branded offerings will be a cheaper Netflix rival involving a major franchise such as Star Wars, High School Musical, and Marvel. It's also releasing a service tied to ESPN, and I think we're going to be working on getting us a sports representative here on Urban Broadcast Media as well. Now, the Senate unveiled its tax plan, right? Have you been keeping up with that? It diverges from the House bill in several key ways, such as it delays slashing the corporate tax rate from 35% to 20% until 2019. And they're also saying it keeps the mortgage interest rate deduction unchanged. So, you know, this eliminates the state and local tax deduction and keeps the estate tax. So we'll see how that plan eventually brings itself forward. But in other news, the U.S. Department of Justice has started refunding roughly 24,000 victims of the Bernie Madoff Ponzi scheme. You remember when that happened?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Did you know anybody personally affected by that?
No.
Yeah, that was the upper echelon group of individuals. However, the officials will initially distribute some $772.5 million of the roughly $4 billion collected for the victims. So much of those funds came from the estate of Jeffrey Power, and he was an investor who reportedly earned the majority of the money of the Ponzi scheme, even more than Madoff. Wow. So in 2009, when Madoff pleaded guilty to 11 federal felonies and was sentenced to 150 years in prison.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know, right? It's just like, you know, I guess they should just say it's a death. I don't know what the 150 years is, some mathematical calculation, I suspect, as to how long you can get, you know, come up for parole or something. But anyway, 150 years he was sentenced in prison. But the investors can expect to recover roughly 75% of that $17.5 billion in losses, according to Crane. So that, you know, for such a big scam, most of the time people are lost, right? They do not get any money back.
That's correct.
75% is a good return on what zero you thought you might have not been getting at all. Now, I'm not a tween, and I don't have a tween yet, but there's apparently a lip-singing app called Musical.ly being sold for as much as $1 billion.
Oh.
Yes, I know, right? So this Chinese media giant Beijing ByteDance Technology has agreed to buy the teen sensation, which Recode says may be the most successful video app not owned by an internet giant like Facebook or Google. So Musical.ly apparently has some 60 million monthly active users, primarily young teens and tweens who have adopted it as a social messaging platform. So, Musically app, right? That is what's going on. As well as, the Obamacare opened up its doors on November 1st for the reopening of for the applying for Obamacare. And they said that the signups are significantly more than what they thought. They have 600,000 people signed up for this health insurance in the first days of the enrollment. And while final figures won't be known until next year, the pace of online registration suggests a bumper crop of those seeking coverage, even as the administration and Congress seek to phase out the program. So I don't know what you're going to do when all these people are joining it, and yet you're trying to, get rid of it, right?
Yeah, I don't think they're going to be successful.
Yeah, not with that many people joining up every day, and that's today's 10 days in to open enrollment. So I would agree with you, Epken. Now, the idea of the day, you're probably a very busy person as well, and so am I. You wake up in the morning, and what's the first thing on your mind? You're probably just running through everything you got to do for the day, right?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Just your to-do list.
Yeah, your to-do list is running through your head,
that's
right?
Correct. Yeah.
Well, Ronisha Bing, a journalist and CEO of Her Agenda, says that she doesn't start her day with emails or being, reactive, that she tries to be proactive, and that as soon as she wakes up, she focuses on, instead of focusing on what needs to be done for the day, she takes a moment to write in her journal what she's grateful for.
Wow.
That's pretty powerful, I think, right? So that is an idea of the day that I think young professionals and individuals out there ought to think about. Instead of waking up, writing down that to-do list, because I am one, just stop and take a moment and write down what you're thankful for first. And then, it's almost a part of a meditation, I would agree.
That's correct.
That's correct. All right, we're going to take a quick break right now, and then we're going to come back and learn all about what the Akugbe-Oretin Club, which received the award for global impact from the Akarama Foundation on Sunday, is doing, and to continue to do good in the hood. You are listening to Urban Broadcast Media. I am Bertina Power, and this is Empower Hour. We'll be right back. Good job. Yes. So we just always want to make sure now, because we already have an accent. We want to talk nice and loud in the microphone so that everybody can hear you. And we'll just say hi to a few people. Hey. Oh, I got Shaka Okoro. Yeah, that's is Shaka. Where's your family from? You'd be listening. Okoro. His background is from hey Yolanda. Hey Greg, hey Karen, and Tamiko, and Eric, and Michael, and Andre, and Linda, and Ken. Everybody that's watching. Woo, it's nice and hot in here today. The door open. On breaks, let's get the door open. It's hot.
This is our future
building.
national building that we're planning to put up on
You're
69th Street. Yeah.
Oh, you gonna build it on 69th?
Yeah.
You gonna
That's what we're planning to build.
That's
next year.
Nice. Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about that. Are you fundraising for that? Fundraising. Are you fundraising? Trying to get money?
Fundraising for that.
Johanna,
yeah.
Can we give Mr. Epken some paper towels because he's sweating over here? It's nice and hot in here.
No problem.
Yes, it's nice and hot in here. And I was trying to have that door open while we were on break. And you're working on developing a scholarship fund. I see you're working on developing a scholarship fund.
Yeah,
okay.
That's the part of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So my brother my brother went to South Africa when he did like a program down there for a couple of weeks.
Okay.
I myself have been to Ghana and stayed there for like 2 weeks. And both my parents have traveled to Africa a couple of times. So we are big proponents of visiting Africa. Everybody ought to visit it because you know what you see on TV, just like what you see there about African Americans here is not the same as what you encounter. So big proponents, so go see for yourself.
But that's the best way. And then sometimes I tell some people when you discuss it with them, they say, well, we are planning a vacation to Paris. They always talking about Paris and France. No. There are areas you can exploit in Africa that would be really worth every time you spend on your vacation.
On holidays.
On holidays, because when you go to France, there's no much difference of what you go to see from what you already have over here in America. So, but if you have a little detour, go to some African countries and really see people living close to nature, you really appreciate at least when you have a continue to thank God that we have progress have been made all over the world.
And you just never know until you go. That's the lesson. Yes. And how many members do you all have in the club? All right. Hey, Gwen. Hey, Barbara. All right. Welcome back to Urban Broadcast Media Empower Hour. We are here weekdays at noon. You can follow us and don't forget to like us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Snapchat, and LinkedIn. I'm at Bertina Power, or you can look up Urban Broadcast Media UBM. So in the studio today, I have one of the recipients. This week I've been doing good in the hood, which is just given an opportunity to learn a little bit more about the winners to the Akugbe Foundation's 5 recipients who got these awards for grassroots organizations that have just continued to do what they do regardless of getting any awards or accolades. And I have Epken Idemudia, in here, and he's the founder of Akugbe-Oretin Club, and founded in 1979. Yeah, that was a long time ago.
Quick one,
You're almost 40 years old.
I'm current president of Akugbe-Oretin Club of Chicago.
Okay.
The club, like you said, was founded in 1979. And before me, I am the 14th president. We had 13 presidents before me.
All right, so you have 14 presidents. You're the current president of the club.
Of the club. And I'm the 14th president, carrying the flag of the club.
I know that's right.
Still upholding what we set out to do, and was improving on it.
And you'll continue to improve on it. And so part of your mission was to aid those newcomers, independent of government assistance here in America.
That's correct. What most people don't really know is that when you are new to any environment, you try as much as possible to first of all study the environment and see if it can accommodate you, and that's where our club comes in. Members of our nationality, way back from Africa, when you just coming to America for the first time, things definitely are not really easy. See, America is a capitalist society. There's no free gift out there. So we try as much as possible to accommodate these guys, show them the rope, tell them some of the footsteps that they should make that will help them accomplish what their dreams are. We advise them of the pitfalls, in America. It's not all that glitter that is gold. It might look, beautiful out there. There are a lot of temptations. So we try to educate them, let them know what to do to make you really comfortable in the new environment that you've just come in. And we've been doing that since 1979, and we still continue to do that. Just that of late, we are concentrating more on our children, because most of us have kids now and grandkids. We just want to make sure that they don't forget about our culture and tradition, and try as much as possible sometimes to teach them our language, because if you lost your language, automatically you lost your identity. So we still uphold to all those a few tenets, trying to remind our people where we come from, and to uphold those
vital culture and tradition that makes us to be Edo people from Nigeria.
Right. So in essence, you want to make sure that your individual, your generational, you have a legacy here now. You have 2 and 3 generations who once were the first ones to come over, and you might still have some new coming over, but those who are now having children and grandchildren, you want to keep them oriented to the customs and traditions of Africa.
That's very
right, while staying and living and operating in America.
You're very, very correct about that. I can give one example. One of your members, Kimberly Agoma.
Yes.
Yeah, he's I want to call him a first generation, because the dad came here, long time ago, and the Agoma, Kimberly is our daughter.
Yes.
And we try as much as possible to make enough to forget where she comes from. So whatever we are doing in the club, she's always there with us.
Good.
She vibes. She's very used to our culture, our language, our food, our tradition basically, and she loved it. And that's what we are part of what we are doing in the community. But so one of the most important thing we're doing in the community is to let people know that we are around. Our present, clubhouse is on 210 East 69th Street. So the neighborhoods around where we have our building, they feel our impact.
Okay.
Because whatever we are doing.
So you're right there in 210 East 69th Street.
Yes,
okay,
ma'am.
So you're right down the street. You're almost part Inglewood / Woodlawn area.
Yes, that's
okay.
correct. That's correct. We've been there for close to 20 years.
Washington Park. Okay.
Yeah. We've been there for close to 20 years, and our neighbors they feel our impact whenever we are doing a lot of activities. We have back to school programs where we invite members of the community to come. When doing back to school, we distribute a lot of school materials like pencil, books, book bag, and the rest of them. And through that process too, we encourage people who are just coming in, like first graders who've not taken their immunization. We have nurses and everybody who come and advise them. You need to immunize. You need to take all this medical checkup before you resume school and the rest of them. And we're part of the community, and it's been a plus for us. And our next major project right now is to have a cultural and heritage center in where we have our present clubhouse. We want to expand it to become a resource center.
I was going to ask you that next. Is there an opportunity for us, the members of the community, to come in and be a part of the learning of the traditions of our family and our heritage, of which we might be descendants from Africa, to not be a member, obviously, of the club because we're born here in America, but do you open it up to allow them to come, or will you be part of this cultural community building, having workshops and learning and cooking of some of, just various things that others might want to know?
That's you just sum it up for me, sister. Trust me, that is really our main goal, because this is the dilemma we have had in the past. We've allowed others to tell our story.
Right.
What you read in most books about Africa, that's not it, because those writing those books, they know little or nothing about Africa. Right. They tell our story just because they want to sell those books. So what we are planning and what we're working very hard to achieve is to have this cultural and heritage center that will have our materials. We'll be having symposiums. We're having people from the motherland to come out, present academic programs that will benefit everybody so that we can really know the true, story about
Real
Africa,
stories.
not
Yes.
the one, the colonialists that have been doing all these parts just to sell their books. So that's what that resource center is going to be, and it's going to be right there where we have the present building. We're going to expand it. We have the architectural design. We will, anytime from summer of 2018, we're going to have a powerful luncheon, a fundraising drive
yes.
to kick off the maybe, lay the foundation for that building.
For the building. Wow, so you're going to be building this building right on the grounds that you currently own now?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
All the adjoining plots to us we've acquired.
You have acquired.
Yeah.
Now, see, that is a good thing there, Epken, is that, probably you're educating your members as they come in too to acquisition the land, right? Because home ownership, land ownership, and property ownership is definitely one way to continue the America dream, right? Of tying yourself down, but not forgetting where you came from, right? I know that's one of your goals, is to remind them not to forget where they come from. So now you own all the surrounding land of which you can now build and do.
The building that we are researching to have over there. We've acquired, so adjoining land, and there's one that is opposite to us that we intend to use as car park.
Parking.
Yeah,
yes.
so the structure we're looking at is, should be able to accommodate close to 300, guests at a time.
Good, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
And you probably have a ballroom for parties and events and things like that?
That's correct. Then we're going to have in there something like a little museum that's going to display our artifacts. And if you know a little bit about our history or about our culture, the Edos, we are craftsmen. We have a lot of sculptures, we have a lot of carvers, we have a lot of weavers.
Right.
That can do this
by hand. Yes.
And so those are some of the things we're going to just display and act like a mini museum to show what we can produce from that part of the world. If you go to Museum of Natural History, right here there are sections that are just dedicated to the Edos.
Yes.
You can't believe it, it's already there, but we want to have our own.
Right.
So
that you can control
the
narrative,
That's
right? Yes, you can
right.
control the narrative and ensure that the story is right, that the information that the one is learning, and really understand, the background. I think I was telling you on the break, I come from a family, and I know it's a rare situation, I come from a family very connected to visiting Africa. So both of my parents have been there, and they're in the 70s. Really, they were going to Africa in the 70s when that wave of returning to Africa, or at least visiting Africa, was happening over here in America. That they were a part of those groups that were going. So we grew up in a household where Africa was beautiful. Africa is a place to go. It's a place to visit. It is not a place to not go, and it's not a place to not believe what you are seeing on TV to be the only way Africa exists. And then as we got older, my younger brother went to South Africa, Nigeria, and spent some time there, and I went to Ghana. And I came back saying the same thing. Everybody of African American descent needs to place their feet on that ground. I don't care which part it is, the West Coast, the East Coast, the South, it doesn't matter which coast you go to. You just need to plant your feet on that ground, see your people, hear the language, just feel the culture and everything that engrafts you from the moment you step off the plane.
Yeah, that you just bless my heart. To be frank with you, I am just happy the way you presented it. The thing is this, Africa as a continent is not a desolate continent.
No.
It is a rich continent, both natural and human resources. They are out there. You can look at a computer that you are using right now, your cell phone and everything. 85% of the cobalt that is used for your smartphone and everything comes from Africa. Most people don't know these things.
No.
You see, when they present Africa to you as an odd continent, they want to prevent you from exploring the good things that's in Africa. They show you some negative stuff and the rest of them. These are some of the things we are trying to correct. Right now, by the time we have our Heritage and Cultural Center, we'll be able to present our narrative, show people true pictures of how Africa looks.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So that's what we're doing. That's what we're going to be doing, and we'll encourage people. Like sometimes when I discuss with some brothers and sisters, when I ask them, you know, their next vacation spot, most kids they tell, oh, we're going to Paris, we're going to France. No, there are a lot of things you can explore visiting Africa, visiting Nigeria, especially visiting Edo Kingdom, where we come from.
Where we come from, and especially the African, especially, I mean, everybody should go, because as one would arguably have a conversation that it is the beginning of life. It's off of the continent of Africa. So you got your sides associated with that, right?
Yeah.
But the reality is that everybody should go. Just like you said, just like everybody wants to go to Jamaica or Paris or London or Switzerland or Italy and all these other places, Africa as a continent ought to be on your list. And that's why I said, my college roommate, ironically, we hadn't really been hanging out at the time. This was years after we graduated. The very time I was going to West Africa, she was going to East Africa. She was going over there and visiting, you know, there, and we were, you know, trying to bring our gifts and wares to trade and bargain while we were over there in Africa. And I remember being over there and almost looking like everybody was looking at an African American over there as a was it like it's just like, is she real or is this a mirage, right? You know, like, is she really over here, you know, and that she is not of a Caucasian descent and over here, you know, being a part of Africa. And I didn't stay in the hotel, see, Epken. I stayed with a family where, you know, I wanted to get the real experience of hanging out and going to the fish market and watching the fishermen come in, you know, daily. That was a great experience. And I had the same conversation you probably have with Americans. And that is, they only believe that the young black men are gangbangers. You know, drug dealers, you know, and then,
good for nothing guys.
Exactly, that's it. And I told him, I said, well, I got two brothers, and I'm 100% the opposite. Neither one of them have, you know, do drugs, drink, you know, had children out of nothing. And so we're having this conversation on African soil, obviously, which is quite interesting. But those are the misperceptions that you're getting fed.
You see, that's what we said. Before we came here, we have a lot of stories. You talk about misconception, but you don't forget too. We look towards African Americans as the harbingers of our culture. You know, through music, dance, and everything, and
science,
in Africa,
medicine, science, everything.
Yeah, we try to copy them. You know, I knew more about Michael Jackson and all of the superstars before I knew about the fella way back in Africa. You know, so we know what the Americans are up to. But it's just like what I was trying to say earlier on. They give you a picture to kind of, you know, prevent you from associating with your brothers and sisters over here. You know, they say, you know, when I came into Chicago the very first time, I'm just scared of living in the South Side. I was on the North Side.
That's why I'm actually shocked that your building is on the South Side, because you usually don't come. No, Africans coming too.
We were losing. We were losing. You know, when you were living on the North Side, I'm telling you, as a newcomer, you get barranded with a lot of parking tickets because you cannot get anywhere to park. A lot of stuff, you know, will happening. But when we start moving to the South Side, 90% of my members live on the South Side of Chicago or Chicagoland area. They live in the South suburb. You know, like I live in South Holland. You know, and I was living in the South Side before that. Our clubhouse is on the South Side.
Right down the street.
Yeah, a lot of buildings on the South Side. But you see, they try to portray a picture, you know, that, hey,
that you walk out the door, you're going to get shot. Or that your kids won't get a good education on the South Side. You know, all of these things. And I'm so glad that almost 40 years now, you all have begun to realize that you need to change this perception amongst your individuals that are coming.
Those are some of the things we're actually working on too. We really want to embrace our brothers and sisters here, to let them feel our presence and share the love that we're sharing all over these years. And I can tell you, there are always rivalries even among siblings. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. So, you know, there's room for competition, and, you know, thank be to Almighty God, there are more than enough for everybody in America. I can assure you that. You know, more than enough for everybody here. So, you know, we can compete, you know, and it doesn't take away that, you know, relationship between, you know, Africans and African Americans in America. You know, we are brothers, we are sisters. We work hard to continue to educate our young.
I was just saying, you want the same things, right? You want to work hard.
Yeah.
You want to have a good place, safe place to live.
Yeah.
You want to educate your children.
Yeah.
You know, and you want to keep the culture.
That's very, very important, because when you lose your identity, my sister, you are barely nothing. If you don't know where you come from, you cannot know where you are going.
I always say that.
Yeah, so it's always very, very important. You have to appreciate your grassroots, know where you are coming from. And if there are some little stuff that is not, working out well where you are coming from, you are in a better position right here to see if you can help correct those guys at home. Because you are now exposed to like two worlds. You know what's in America, you know what's in Africa. You can always come in and correct where those people are, are going wrong, and present your own facts to the world about what Africa is all about. Because in America, like my sister,
right,
there is free speech with you.
Yes.
And with social media, anybody can stampede you. You
say
work, anything. You can't work for CNN or MSNBC before you can get your message to the world.
Right.
With the social media, thanks to those smart guys who came up with this social media phenomenon. So everybody has a lot of forum for where we can now exchange, ideas and
talk. And speaking of which, I want to remind everybody the address. I was asked where the address of the building is. 210 East 69th Street, right in Chicago, South Side. I mean, you in the heart of the South Side of 69th Street.
That's our clubhouse, and we are working very hard. That's going to be our next project.
That's the next project. Yeah. Make it big, a real complex.
A real complex.
Yes, a real complex.
We're working towards very, very hard. We are tasking ourselves. We'll be calling on the community to come and help us.
Yes.
We have our luncheon, and we're going to be calling people from, not only the community, but from, way back in Africa.
Yes.
Like I was trying to show you on my phone, we have the design already.
Yes, it looks very nice.
Oh, yeah.
It's a very nice design.
Yeah.
And so you're going to have to come back and remember to come back to Urban Broadcast Media, because this station is about promoting African Americans every day, not just in the month of February. So you're definitely have to come back when you get ready to have that groundbreaking, so that we can invite the community as a whole to do that. But now, do you have a website or a place where people can keep up with what's going on at the Orient Club if they want to, participate or help?
Oh yeah, like I told you, we have smart kids these days who are we have
generation.
Yeah, we have a website, and maybe later I'm gonna furnish you with a website.
All right, give me the website, and I will post it on my page, so that we can make sure that everybody knows how to help. Now, so next year you're planning on groundbreaking to this. Now, obviously there's a lot of red tape here in Chicago, right, when it comes to building the property.
That's correct. Yeah, that's very correct.
You gotta get the permits and the drawings approved and all of that. So you're moving toward that.
Yeah, that's why for now, if you see most of our members, they are pumped up. They really want to get the building done.
Yes,
but
they have to wait.
We tell them, hey, take it easy. It's going to take time. This is not an environment where just because you want it, you just got it. No. It's going to take time, and to be frank with you, we are not in a haste.
Yes.
We've been in that environment for more than 20 years, and we are not in a haste to make it. But we want to make sure it is done. It's a task that must be done. The theme of the building is the future is now.
Right.
Building an Akugbe Cultural and Heritage Center is a task that must be done. That is the theme of Onoya. So the future is now. We want to build it to tell our own story.
Now, how many members do you have in the club right now?
Now, let me tell you. Okay, the membership are drawn from Chicagoland area.
Gotcha.
And to be a member, you have to be an adult by birth or by marriage.
Okay.
And Akugbe-Oretin is just a member club of the national body called Edo National Association Worldwide. That includes clubs of Edo region all over the US and all over the world.
Right.
We normally have a convention that brings everybody together. The next one is going to be in Toronto in 2018. So for those of us in Chicagoland area that are part of Akugbe-Oretin, just members alone, we are not including our wives, our children, and the registered member that comes to the meeting every last Sunday of the month at the clubhouse on the 69th Street. We are like about 130
on the list.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, well that's a nice body to be getting
Oh,
some
yeah.
work
Oh,
done.
yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
so you know that the foundation is the 501c3 of the Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority that gave you the award,
Right.
and we operate along the same way. So
Yeah.
you know we have chapters
Right.
of the groups here and abroad. We have Dubai chapters in Africa, chapters all over the globe. So
Yeah.
and then we come together just like that. We'll be in Houston
Oh.
next year to come together of the meeting of the minds for the big picture.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, what you guys presented the other Sunday,
Sunday. Uh-huh.
man, you know, I came with one of my members. He has some video clip
Yes.
of what you guys did, and we posted it on our WhatsApp site. Man.
Uh-huh.
You can't believe the honor you guys gave us.
Oh,
man.
yeah.
I really appreciated it, and I was really thrilled that sisters can come together and put this type of program together.
Mhm.
And look, you should look at the cream of the society that were out there.
Yes.
And you know, when I was on the high pedestal, the high protocol, and I saw the people in the crowd, man,
Yes.
all the brain and beauty in Chicago land, and they were all there. They were all represented, and I was so pleased, man, and so happy.
Well,
You know,
I thank you on
yeah.
behalf of them, and several of them are listening and looking right here on this live Facebook page
Yeah.
because I told them that I was going to continue to try to honor you all for what it is that you do, because too many times we get overlooked. And that I'm sure you think the same thing, that we should just honor ourselves, right? Don't sit around and wait for somebody else to honor you, that you can honor yourselves, and that we can, you know, and do the good job. And we've been doing it for 95 years over there, giving us service, you know, with the sorority. So we're gonna come right back after these breaks and continue talking to Epken Idemudia, that is the 14th president of the Akugbe-Oretin Club, right here on the 69th in Chicago on the south side. You right down the road from that Akarama Foundation at
Oh, yeah, that's correct.
6220 South Ingleside.
Yeah.
And we're gonna be right back. You're listening to Urban Broadcast Media. I'm Bertina Power, your host, and this is Empower Hour, where we educate, enrich, and empower our listeners. And if you're not learning today, I don't know what you're doing, because we are learning all about our history and some of our ancestral background right here in Chicago. We'll be right back. Yes, that was awesome. They let us go a long time today, though. We were on a roll, I guess, that we keep going. So that's good. And so he found you. Akugbe-Oretin Club, Unity is Strength. It's Akugbe-OretinChicago.org.
Okay.
That's you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Akugbe-OretinChicago.org. So that's your
Good.
that's you all's branch.
That's good.
That's you all's branch of what's going on.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. That's awesome.
That's good.
And as you know, we're big proponents of historically black colleges and universities.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, because that's where they first educated Africans when they came to America, was at these HBCUs.
Oh, yes, that's correct.
Yeah, that was where you could get an education.
Yeah.
The slaves could get educated, everybody could get educated. And so we're all descendants of that benefit.
What's your Facebook?
Bertina Power.
Mm-hmm.
So Bertina, Bertina Power, Power. That's on Facebook.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I just want to, you know. Like
Yeah, see if you like me, and then you'll be able to go get the film and pull it off in the recording. Yes. Woo, baby, bye.
Yeah.
Nice and hot in here. Radio. Welcome back to Empower Power Hour. I am Bertina Power, and you are listening on Urban Broadcast Media. Don't forget, we are on YouTube. We are all over Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter. So you can find by looking at Bertina Power or UBM for Urban Broadcast Media. So we are continuing my week. It is Friday. Now, normally on Friday, Epken, I do what is called Flashback Friday, where we remember when. Now, you've been over here long enough. Do you remember when? Do you have any remember when? So, like, there was this TV show called 227. I don't know if you watched a lot of TV or if you remember things. So this is, like, it's like going back in history to remember, quite like what you all do every day over there, which is to try to continue to remember when. So, so I wanted to put that remember when out there for those of us who might remember Jefferson, the TV show, The Jeffersons coming on up, right, moving on up to the east side. I bet you that was surely something you all thrive to do based on a show like that, right? Okay. And then of course, no matter what, we have to always continue to acknowledge the fact that the Cosby Show, it was something that just changed how we saw TV and how we saw African Americans and how a lot of us were living, but then no one was showing a life like that, on TV. And so he did that. So despite all the things that go on behind the scene and what is happening, that show and what it did for continuing to educate and literally drive thousands back to historically black colleges and universities. And we were sitting here talking on break. I was telling Epken that Africans were first educated at historically black colleges and universities that were formed. I know that was the case over at Hampton University, which is my alma mater, and several of them that they were educating Africans and they were educating slaves who were obviously African, from Africa. To educate them, that is where it started. And so then the surge in the 80s, early 90s, was to get back to it. And I see now that there's another resurge to getting back and thinking about these historically black colleges, because it does what I think you say you do over at the Akugbe-Oretin Club, and that is remind us of who we are, where we came from, and what your true strengths are that you have survived on this side of the water for over 400 years.
That's correct.
And so we were the beginning of time over on the other side of the water. So that in and of itself is a history lesson that your club is going to continue to share with us. Yeah. But then that we here on this side of the water have been surviving, growing, educating, enriching, and empowering all of our generation for over 400 years on this side of the water.
That's so kind of you. Let me quickly add this. Most colonial African countries, there were a lot of things they were deprived of. A lot of things they were deprived of. One of those things was education.
Yes.
But in spite of that, I can tell you the first president of Nigeria, Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, he was trained, or he went to school in the United States of America way back in the 50s. That's what I'm telling you. Yeah. So when he came back home, he became like a freedom fighter, agitating for independence from the British colonial master, which we eventually got in 1960. So the historical black colleges have been there for Africans, and they are still there for us. And I can it's just like Howard University, where they in Washington DC. Look, you cannot, it's like when you get into the campus and you think it's a Nigerian university. Everybody look forward to being in Howard. Yeah. Every Nigerian will tell them they will want to be in Howard than to be in Harvard.
Yes.
Because right there and there, there's just no discrimination. No. What you put in is what you're going to get. Yes. There's no looking at the color of your skin or whatever. They'll grade you. Yes. And I'm telling you, when you go to HBCU, I bet you're going to be measured the way you are. There's just
you're going to be measured by your skill set, your education, and your work.
That's correct.
Right.
That's what you got there.
Yeah, and that that's what I grew up with, as I told you. So both parents visited Africa. Both parents from historically black colleges and universities said, listen, when you go to school, you don't have time to be worried about, the kinds of things that we have continued to see. Yeah. Somebody hanging, things in front of you. No, this is a time for education. Right. This is not a time to be scared and fearful that somebody is going to corner you just because of the color of your skin and beat you up or not give you the grades you deserve.
And those are some of the things that are happening in most universities. I'm sorry to say, you know, I have 2 kids that are going through universities. You know, in America, I can tell you the first thing to do. Let me tell you, I'm sorry. What they want to do, you know, they want the faculty want to fill their department. They want to, you know, channel your children towards a department or an academic line that might make, you know, life difficult when they eventually graduate. Of what value is your diploma if you cannot be useful to the community? Is that what I'm saying? They give you a lot of courses that you need to read. Let's, for example, you want to read pharmacy. At your first year, your instructor, they're going to tell you, oh, what do you want to do with pharmacy? You know, that's too difficult for you. No. Go read, you know, sociology. Go read this. They redirect you so that they can fill up that department. You know, and claim that they have S number of students in a certain type. Whereas that's not the discipline the kids came from. But you want to HPSU, you know, you want to read pharmacy, they're going to guide you to read pharmacy. If you want to read medicine, they're going to guide you. If you want to read engineering, they're going to guide you. Nobody's going to dissuade you from reading the course of your heart. You know,
they're going to let you go and do it until you can't do it anymore or you succeed.
Oh yeah,
but it's your choice.
Yeah, it's your choice.
It's your choice.
Yeah, it's not the system trying to, you know, trick you into a discipline where the only just said for you to take student loan and you come out of college, man, so you pay the student loan
and no way to get a career or a job that fits this degree.
That's correct. That's correct. You know,
I agree with
you.
It's
like they're just warehousing you. Okay, you came in 2017. You're gonna get out by 2000 something. You know, you graduated and take your diploma. No, build a human resources that came to you for education so that they can compete in the global market. Don't just warehouse them, you know. But historical black colleges, they don't do that. If you're coming in, this is what you want to study, they're going to guide you. You're going to be a lot of instructors and people like
my professor at Hampton in accounting was from Africa.
See?
Yes, he was a professor at Hampton and he was from Africa.
Right.
You know, and so I would agree in that sense that you know, the goal is to educate you on what is driving you, right? What your passions are, and let you explore that in all aspects, right? And do not turn you away and redirect you into something else. You know, and so I think too, part of what you do over at the club is also educate the individuals coming on the politics of America. Do you not?
Oh, sure.
I'm sure you have to do the politics, which is way different.
Yeah, you know, there's this common saying that every man is a political animal. It doesn't matter whether you are active or you are passive. You know, you gotta know the politics of your environment. Otherwise, you're gonna be shortchanged. You know, so we have we call it Akugbe Political Action Committee. We have an impact. We network with local politicians. We help them. You know, canvass for votes when the time comes. You know, we tell them what we're up to, and
hear from your people what are some of your needs and wants.
That's correct.
Yeah, absolutely. And Kimberly we were talking about, she is very instrumental in that political force, right? She's on WBON and talks about you know, the politics and gives it from her point of view, and she does really well at that. You know, I'm not the political one, but there are those that are, and if that is their passion, then that is great, right? It's just like we were just saying, let your passion be your passion.
That's correct.
Don't steer me into one arena or another that has nothing to do with what is going to make me want to get up every day and do that. So I want to thank you again, Epken Idemudia, yes, and the Akugbe-Oretin Club that is located at 210 East 69th Street, and that your website is Akugbe-Oretin-Chicago.org, and that is AKUGBEORETIN Club. No, it's just Akugbe-Oretin-Chicago.org if you want to get to the website. And we wish you all the luck. You know, we're neighbors down the road, so be sure to let us know about the groundbreaking over at the Akarama Center, and continue to do what it is that you're doing to educate, enrich, and empower not only those newly immigrants that are coming in, but for those of us who are here and so many years have been here and have lost right? Our understanding and our connection, and maybe even plan some trips to go back over to Africa. That's what you need to do over there at the club, so that some of us can go back and visit, you know, and really get some hands-on understanding, because you go there and you don't know, they're driving cars, there's sidewalks and buildings and stores and shopping, you know, but let them show you it is just grassroots and dirty ground and all of that, and that is just not the case. That's why I promote and continue to promote. Get back over there and see for yourself.
That's correct.
Get back over there to your homeland and see for yourself.
Seeing is believing.
Seeing is believing.
That's
and
correct.
as we were talking about earlier about the Think HBCU, I want to remind everybody that this Saturday, which is tomorrow, from 10 to 1, the South Shore International Preparatory Club is having an HBCU fair. So you might want to be able to tell some of your members who got some college-bound kids that they can go there and meet representatives from HBCU schools all over, and it's free. They just come and get this information, which is right off of 75th Street,
Okay.
and just off of Stony in the South Shore area.
Okay.
As well as there is an exclusive networking and career event November 13th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at St. Paul Catholic Church, which is 2127 West 22nd Place in Chicago. They are looking to see if you have a career or want to start a career in business, healthcare, hospitality, information technology, or retail. So I want you to share this with your group as well, because all of these things are for everybody, right? And they're free. You know, Epken, I tell everybody, when something is free, it is something you ought to just go and do and get and learn, right, from it. So I have it's a quote, which is a semi-statement and a story from Brian Jackman. Africa changes you forever, like nowhere on earth. Once you have been there, you will never be the same. But how do you begin to describe its magic to someone who has never felt it? How can you explain the fascination of this vast, dusty continent whose oldest roads are elephant paths? Could it be because Africa is the place of all our beginnings, the cradle of mankind, where our species first stood upright on the savannas of long ago? Here I am, where I belong.
Wow. That's powerful.
You like that?
Listen,
as soon as I read that, I was just like, this is it. I don't know what Epken is going to say on the show, but I felt that this would just sum it all up.
You got it right, man.
Here I am, where I belong. Because I know I sat there and watched that ocean and those fishermen come up over that horizon, and I tell you, it's just nothing. I can't even describe it to you now, and that was almost 20 years ago when I went. I feel like it just happened.
And there are still a lot of other things to explore. You know, there's the UNESCO World Heritage, what we call the Benin Moat.
Yes.
It equates or competes with the Great China Wall.
Yes.
You
have to go see it.
You gotta go see it.
You gotta go see it. You gotta go see it. You are listening to Empower Hour, Bertina Power on Urban Broadcast Media. And coming up next is Mark Allen, Hear My Voice. We'll see you back on Mondays at noon for the rest of the week. Empower Hour, Bertina Power. I'll see you then. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye. That was awesome!
Oh,
yes! If you didn't know, now you know, right?
It's not, Thank you.
That is just,
The
listen.
champ is here. The champ is
Yes,
here.
Mr. Mark Allen.
The champ
over
is
there.
here. The champ.
What's happening?
Lord, just keep working in here.
Yes, it's
These
working.
lights